Alrighty, welcome back to the ITSM Brief with Manuel Lloyd. I'm your host, Manuel Lloyd. Today we're going to be briefly discussing 5 overlooked security measures that medical practices must have in place when using mobile devices. And they are definitely becoming more popular. If you think about some of the things that have happened of late, especially this year, 2016 was a wild year with live streaming and of events that we probably should have never seen. But can you imagine if a administrative staff or a medical provider or clinician or even an executive goes into a room with a patient and they're live streaming by accident or even on purpose? Can you imagine what the implications of that would be? One of the things I tell my clients is that find a way to not even have medical staff bring their mobile devices to their desk or even in the building, and find a way to make emergency calls. But you may have some situations where people have to call their sick children. They may have children with certain conditions that they need to be by phone. You can make conditions, but you just want to be real careful. So let's go ahead and get into these 5 things here that I'm going to talk about. One, implementing a mobile device policy, BYOD, bring your own device, or even a company policy of what employees can do with the actual device that's owned by the company. You definitely want to require strong passwords and passcodes and multi-factor authentication so that you can lock devices if you need to. Definitely want to require encryption. And number 4, implement remote wipe for stolen devices. And number 5, backup remote devices. Now, there are some software companies out there that have over-the-air configuration for people who bring their own devices. So when you come into the building, anything that's on the network, that's company data, can be controlled by IT. So, and then it won't affect that person's personal device, because you can get into a world of hurt there too. It's just a difficult issue to deal with, because a lot of executives want their employees to come into an environment that they feel comfortable, and people feel as comfortable with their mobile device as they do their body parts. We've gotten to this day, So, turn this phone off here. Sorry about that. But let's talk about the first one, implement a mobile device policy. This is particularly important if your staff are using their own personal devices to access company email, company data. You have a lot of providers that work remotely using Citrix or some other remote device. If you're using Citrix, it's going to be pretty safe, but what about screenshots and things of that nature? I mean, it's just a complicated problem. So we're not going to get into all of that today, but what we are going to talk about are some of the things that you could do to think about and get a dialogue going. Man, can you imagine if an employee leaves and you allow, are you allowed to erase company data from their phone? If their phone is lost or stolen, are you permitted to remotely wipe the device? Which would you delete? Would you delete that person's photos, their videos, text messages? To ensure your patient information isn't compromised, are you able to do these things? Further, if the data in your organization is highly sensitive, that's not PHI, like let's say credit card information or other financial information and the like, you may not be legally permitted to allow employees to access it on their devices anyway. But that doesn't mean an employee may not innocently take work home, if you will. If it's a company-owned device, you need to detail what an employee can and can't do with that device, including, jailbreaking, rooting the device to circumvent security mechanisms that you put in place. And there's some pretty savvy people out there. There's some pretty savvy people out there, and you have to be really, really careful. So, implementing a mobile device policy, writing it out, a BYOD, and just a company device policy is crucial. It's something you could probably find a template for and build it around your organization. Make sure your lawyers look at it. Don't just take a template, use it, and don't have any legal advice. Number 2, require strong passwords and passcodes to lock the mobile devices. Passwords should be at least 8 characters. I've covered that in previous IT SM briefs. And contain lowercase, uppercase letters, symbols, at least one number. On a cell phone, requiring a passcode to be entered will go a long way in preventing a stolen device from being compromised. For instance, I know that there's credit card companies that, you can put a password in online, but then when you go to your mobile device, it also requires a passcode. So having multi-form or multi-factor authentication is something that you'll see more of moving in the future. So that just makes sense just to have a strong password. Number 3, require all mobile devices to be encrypted. This is a no-brainer. Encryption is the most effective way to achieve data security. Now, I'm a big critic of today's encryption technology. I think that it's immature, but it is what we have, and we should use it. I think we should be so much more advanced than we are. And I don't want to get on my soapbox, but we do have some encryption today that we can utilize now. So make sure that you're utilizing it and don't take any of this stuff for granted. In order to read an encrypted file, you must have access to a secret key or passcode or password that unlocks or decrypts the data. This is why ransomware is so successful, because it encrypts your data with a password that only the hacker knows. Well, you can do the same thing, but you'll be, not the hacker, obviously, but you'll have control over that data because it won't be readable unless you have the password to decrypt it. Number 4, you want to implement a remote wipe policy using remote wipes software for lost or stolen devices. Let's say you're a clinician and you saw your patients for the day and you went to Starbucks. We have a famous place here in Wilmington called Port City Java. I love to go there. Let's say you went to Port City Java and you set your phone down and you were looking at a patient record that you forgot to do your charts on, and your laptop was stolen. This happens quite a bit, by the way, and that data is not in Citrix or something else. You copied and pasted something because you wanted to do something, and whatever the case may be, and that laptop was stolen. Well, you come back from the bathroom and you see your laptop sitting there, and you go, somebody's probably saying, well, why would you leave your laptop there? I don't know. I mean, I think people are generally good. I don't think everybody is a thief. So, I do that kind of stuff, but I lock my computer first, though. Anyway, and I don't keep any PHI on my computer anyway. All of my stuff's encrypted. But anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent here. You come back from the bathroom and you panic. Now you need a doctor, because you're about to have a heart attack. And but you don't have to panic. You call up your IT department or your IT firm or your IT guy or gal and say, hey, look, my laptop was stolen. And they can use software to go bloop, just like your Apple device or your Google device, your mobile phones. You can wipe the data, lock the phone, make sure that, the only loss you have now is the actual physical device, but that pales in comparison to the EPHI or sensitive data, confidential data that's been lost. So implementing a remote wipe software for lost or stolen devices is excellent. If you are going to be working in today's environment, you're going to have a mobile device, and a remote wipe will kill or wipe the software and or the data, and allow you to disable the device and erase anything that's sensitive remotely. So as soon as that machine hits the internet, boom, you're done. Now people are trying to get smart and not put it on the internet and just open it up and try to get in. But it's coming to a point where technologists are inventing ways to get connected into systems without having to use this blatantly immature internet that we use and we think so much of. I don't think so much of it myself personally, but so just take those precautions. Don't go, well, just going anyway, because a stolen laptop recently cost one medical group about $4.5 million. Because there was like 3 million records on there or something like that. You got to be careful. You got to be careful. I mean, in Raleigh, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to get anybody in trouble. I don't want to get myself in trouble by talking about it. But just know that having remote wipe is one of your biggest tools to protect you from remote or mobile devices being stolen. And of course, you want to back up everything you do, right? Especially if you have an executive's device, mobile device. So you want to back up mobile and remote devices. If you implement step 4, you'll need to have a backup of everything you're erasing anyway. You don't want to erase something that you can't get back, right? Or accidentally erase an employee's personal stuff. So you want to be careful. So to that end, make sure you're backing up, all mobile devices, including laptops, so you can quickly restore the data. And with the advent of cloud storage and other kinds of storage becoming cheaper, you remember that time, I'm old enough, I'm dating myself now, where long distance used to cost, I forget what it was per minute. And then it got down to 10 cents a minute, then 5 cents, then a penny. Then it was the race to zero, right? Who's going to be 0 cents for long distance? And then voice over IP and all those good things. So the race to zero for data is coming. Microsoft is kind of already there with their Azure, Microsoft Azure. They're saying, hey, you can put anything you want, as much as you want, into our cloud. It's when you bring it out of the cloud is when you have to pay. It's like taking a 401k out. You'll get penalized for doing that. I'm not saying they'll penalize you. They just have an egress way of model where you pay for, taking your data out. Anyway, these are the 5 things that are a good start. A lot of medical practices that are heavily using mobile devices or are handling highly sensitive data other than EPHI, like credit card information. And, a lot of medical organizations, they don't talk a lot about their credit card data, but that's just as important as EPHI, believe it or not. Any of that financial information, any PII, personally identifiable information, social security numbers, driver's license number. You got to be very, very diligent about monitoring and securing all your mobile devices. So check with your IT department, check with your CIO, check with your IT consulting firm, your outsourced IT or your IT gal or girl or guy, and make sure that you're being taken care of. If you have any questions about this topic, you can email me at manuel@mwlconsulting.com. That's manuel@mwlconsulting.com. That's MANUEL at mwlconsulting.com. Or visit our website for more information, mwlconsulting.com. You can call me also at 910-210-0485. Or if you're out of my calling area, 888-270-4473. That's today's, or at least this ITSM brief on mobile security, and I hope you guys take it to heart, and I wish you much prosperity in everything you do. Take care.